Welcome to Vitality Women Leading Audaciously. Today, our guest is Janet. Now, Janet, I'd love to pronounce your last name, but I'm not probably going to massacre it. So, can you pronounce it for me, please?
It's so simple. It's Adetu.
Adetu.
Adetu. Yes.
Sounds French. Is it French?
No, it's not. It's actually
Adetu.
Nigerian.
Oh, beautiful. Well, Janet,
Thank you,
I'm
Jennifer.
so delighted to have you on the show. You are a Forbes Coaching Council coach. You're also an executive coach, but I have a feeling it extends beyond that now that I've gotten to know you for a few minutes. And I'm just delighted to have you to share your story and to shed some wisdom and some light onto this time that we're living in. So, Janet, tell me about how you got to where you are in your business, and what were some of the components that contributed to what it is
Yeah.
you do?
It's amazing. Because I mean, Jennifer, thank you. Jennifer, thank you so much, actually. It's amazing. It's been a long road. When you're aspiring to be a successful woman, leader, established, professional, the journey can be tough.
Mm.
So I did start. I started with BS Economics, and I went on to do an MBA. And I always wanted to be a chartered accountant. And thankfully, I was able to qualify and become a certified chartered accountant. And so way back then, I moved into doing accounting, working as a financial auditor for two big firms, KPMG and EY. And I loved it. I loved the job. I loved the work. But funny enough, as time went on, my husband became an expatriate and we were moving around the country for like 20 years, moving up and down, round and round. And I really didn't want to give up my life as a professional. So I continued reading. I continued doing things that I look by then, of course, my kids were small. So I gave in and I said, okay, this is time for me to look after my family. But I continued reading and all of that. By the time I finished, and the kids were growing up, and my husband now was winding down on expatriate life, wanting to settle down more. I realized I needed to establish myself. Now that we're settling down, I knew I had it within me to continue to work and inspire women. I wanted to motivate and inspire women. And so that's how I realized that I had a knack, for carrying myself well, is what people used to say. And so I went into something that I never knew existed, and that was etiquette, right? And I went and trained, and I didn't even know that there was anything professional about etiquette. And there I was. I trained in 5 different countries to be an etiquette expert. And so right now, people call me Madam Etiquette, amazingly. And why did I get into it? They said I carry myself well. And I realized that this was the beginning of personal development. As much as the word is so beautiful, etiquette, it really was about how you carry yourself, the ABC of etiquette, your appearance,
Mm.
your behavior, and the way you communicate. And this for me was what was the bane of every woman who wanted to be successful in life. And so I went into etiquette, like I said, and then I moved up and I realized that, okay, because I wasn't in the professional space anymore, it was the professional space that birthed etiquette. When I was in the corporate space, I realized a lot of people lacked confidence. When I come in as an auditor, they were so afraid to talk to me because they were afraid of what I was coming to look for. And then I realized, as auditors, they're like, oh my God, the auditors are around. But then I realized I needed to change my attitude, my actions to be able to become more approachable and more warm. And that was
Mm.
when my energy level just changed. I began to wear a beautiful, bright smile and coming and greet everybody nicely. I toned down from the dark colors we used to wear in suits to these kind of pink colors that looked more approachable. And so it worked like magic. I will come in and I'll smile and I'll laugh at you and say, how's work today? Are you okay? Is everything all right? How's the family? And honestly, Jennifer, it was like magic. People just began to be more approachable towards me. And that's how I realized people came out of their shell. People began to grow in their confidence and people began to be more clear about their purpose. Believe it or not, I went into training and facilitation very naturally. I just went into training and facilitation very, very naturally, teaching interpersonal skills. It was from there I was chosen to be a mentor. And I went on to be Sherry Blair mentor, a business mentor, mentoring women all around the world.
Mm.
From there, I knew that coaching was the thing for me. And so from mentoring, I moved into coaching, and coaching is where I love to be. Now, you wonder, how did I do all of this? Yeah, I am always straightforward about what I want in life. I want to add value. My philosophy is about adding value to another person's life. And so all of the things that happened to me were pretty natural. Even though I had young kids, I had to manage my time with my young kids while they were at school. I was reading, I was studying, I was developing myself. When they come back, I will resume mother duties and wife duties. And I just had to match it all like that. Even now that my kids are well grown up, believe it or not, they see me working, but they can see the value that I'm adding to other women. They can see how I'm adding value even to them. I have two grown-up daughters and a son. And I can see also how I have grown and how I have learned, even from the things that I teach out there. And it's really about interpersonal skills. It's about communication. It's about attitude and aptitude. It's about your look, your appearance. And generally speaking, it's about how you can portray yourself to be the leader that you truly are, how you can portray yourself to be very impactful and influential in the circle that you're in among the people. And, for me, I learn every day. It's not been easy, but I'm always forward looking. I have decided to be optimistic about life in spite of everything that's going on around us.
Yeah.
And that's why people can't see that I have a 31-year-old. They're like, oh, are you kidding?
I know you look
Age is
so.
in the mind.
For those
Age
of
is
you who
in the
can't
mind. So that's
see,
really my
Janet,
journey.
yeah, Janet
That's
is
my journey.
magnificent. She's a beautiful, beautiful, radiant woman who is clear, has a
Oh,
lot of vitality. And what a story. I mean, there's so much packed into what you just was describing. It's so interesting.
yeah.
I never thought about etiquette intersecting the world of coaching. And oftentimes I ask myself, also as a mother of a teenage daughter, where has the etiquette gone? I mean, there's no etiquette anymore even in terms of how you respond to an email or how you respond to a text, or certain things about the etiquette has changed so much. And so I just have to, a funny side note, I grew up in a family that was very, very preoccupied with etiquette, and I found myself rebelling against it. Although I know that it served me, and like you, I've lived all over the world, and etiquette is really different country to country. There are some things that stay the same, but it is really different, and it's almost like a lost art in terms of people and their connection to it. It used to be that women were honored and respected who had a high degree of understanding of proper etiquette, everything from eating a cherry tomato
Yeah.
to the proper
Yeah.
fork for the course, that
Yes.
you were serving. So it's really
Yeah.
interesting how things are turning around, and I'm really curious about this intersection of coaching and etiquette that you described, because I can see the correlation as you were describing it. Actually, very, very
Yeah.
fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And even I am, initially I was like, where am I going with all of this? And now I actually understand. When you're coaching executives and leaders, there's a decorum that is expected of you.
Mhm.
There's something that as a leader, they expect you to be polite. They expect the way you communicate. They expect the
Mhm.
way you act, because
Mhm.
you're literally mentoring from a distance. People are watching you all the time without you knowing it. And so there's a charisma, there's a kind of character, there's a lot of clout that people who are leaders carry. And you want to lead by good example. You want to make sure that when you're out there speaking on behalf of your business, your organization, that the reputation is indeed carried well. First impressions go a long way. And so when it comes to etiquette, you're right about the fact that it's changed a lot. It's evolved. There are a lot of it that is being breached, but I see now people are coming back to it more and more, or they're seeing the importance of it and how it can make or mar you as a business person. It can make or mar your relationships. It can actually present a reputation of you, or an impression, let me say, of you that is either good or bad. And
Absolutely.
people want to really relate with people that they can trust.
Mhm.
People want to relate with people that they can do business with. And if you
Right.
don't have the like and love or trust, then you're setting yourself up for,
Failure.
for failure is the word,
Really,
actually.
because it's all about, they call it now branding, right? If your brand isn't on,
Yeah,
isn't appropriate, or if you don't have authority, because now everyone, the playing field has been leveled in a lot of ways. And it's like you are
absolutely.
only as influential as your website is, or as strong as your brand is. It's just so interesting
Correct.
how everything's getting reorganized. And I
Yep.
love that you
Yeah.
framed it as etiquette. It's helping me
Yeah.
to
I
open
say
my
dare to
mind.
be different. Yeah, it's
Dare to be
about
different.
daring.
Yeah.
It's about daring to be different and standing out from the crowd, because it is a level playing field almost now. So how do you stand out from the crowd? How do you make yourself different?
And it's
And
how you show
reputation
up.
is important.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
And I love how you
absolutely.
said
How
it
you
went
show up.
from like superficial, and I don't mean
Yeah,
like that as a negative thing. It went from like the surface,
yeah,
really down to the core, it sounds like, in your work. And you realized, oh, okay, the where everything stems from is really what I want to focus on. And it sounded like
yeah.
you love to help people identify their purpose. And so
Correct.
what kinds of people do you work with now? And it sounds like purpose work is really a key
Yeah,
thing for you.
absolutely. It's really about helping. For me, my real passion is about helping people, fulfill purpose, get clarity in whatever they're doing, setting their goals and getting being clear about it, and also infusing enough energy to be able to make it happen. In that light, I also
Mm.
help them gain confidence, because many a times when you have a goal, a lot of people, they are suffering from imposter syndrome. They are suffering from procrastination. They're suffering from distractions. So it's
No,
about
really?
getting that clarity.
No, it's
So
true, but
I love to use I love to use these words: getting clarity, putting
yeah,
a lot of energy into what you do, ensuring that you have confidence. What is most important is being able to impact with influence. And so I
agreed.
do work with a host of ladies. I love working with women because I feel women can really reach heights if they push themselves. So I love working with women, and I say all sorts of women: professionals, entrepreneurs. Of course, I do work with gentlemen as well. I work with executives and C-suites. I work with people
Mm.
who have their own business, entrepreneurs who really want to scale and show up in a better way, present themselves in a better way, because they're being held back by procrastination or by the fact that they don't believe they can do it.
And
And
Janet,
so all walks of life.
this time that we're in, people are quitting their jobs, they're changing their careers, and I think people really struggle to get that clarity. They don't know exactly how to resource themselves to find that clarity, because they are trying to be something that their sister or their mother or their brother wants them to be or expects them to be. So what are some of the things that you could share with our listeners on how they can find clarity inside of their purpose? Because what's happening in their life is no longer resonating for whatever reason, right? And then I know you can relate. I mean, there's so many people listening are
Yeah.
right smack dab in the middle of this
Yeah.
right now, and they're grasping for
Yeah.
straws, and nothing is
Yeah.
familiar anymore. So how can they get the
Yeah.
clarity? What do you suggest?
Yeah. Honestly speaking, Jennifer, whenever I have um, a session with someone, a one-on-one session, I always love to start with a discovery call. And this is really getting to know you. And I ask a lot of philosophical questions about, what your goal is and why. I always ask people to ask a why. What is it that you want to do and why? And why do you want to do that and why? And what is the big picture? So sometimes people are always a little bit narrow-minded in terms of, I want to do this now, but I always say, what's the big picture? 5 years from now, 10 years from now, what is it that you really would like to achieve? And then again, I always tell people, you know what, what does your dream world look like? What do you really want it to look like? And so when you have that picture of what you want it to look like, then we work backwards as to how can we really get there? And you'd be amazed how asking those questions, they begin to explore deeper into what they really want and how they really want to show up in the world, what they really want to achieve, because the goals are there. It's about taking that best foot forward and ensuring that they let's start somewhere. And even if you don't finish, let's start the journey. And I love to partner with people on that journey, get you thinking deeper than you would normally have thought. So I will ask you questions, that will make you really want to think hard and fast about, oh wow, I never thought about it like that. And so when you
Mm.
want clarity, look at, have your goals that are, we call SMART goals, right? Very specific. Make sure you can measure that goal. Make sure it's an achievable goal. Make it be relevant and realistic, and put some time to it, right? So that each time you get closer to that goal, you look back and say, yeah, I think I can reward myself. I've just achieved that. And then you make the goals further and further. Don't have a big, gigantic goal. Break it down into smaller goals, and you just be surprised at what you can achieve.
Yeah, it's true. I want to go back to purpose for a second, because I find a lot of people, and I'm curious your thoughts on this. I find a lot of people feel their purpose is a result of some kind of life event that was, a great source of suffering that they've overcome. Do you think that that's misplaced purpose, or do you think that that's the actual purpose?
So you see, many a times you're so right, Jennifer. You find people find themselves circumstances. When I see people in their career, the first question I ask them is this career your choice or someone else's? And then they go back and they start thinking, oh, that's true. I wanted to do this, or no, it is my choice. This is why I chose it. And so many a times it's true for convenience, you find yourself doing certain things because this is where you are at this point in time. But then again, if you've always had a dream to do something, I really believe that if you can conceive the idea and you believe the idea, you can definitely achieve the idea.
Oh, I
So your
love that. Did you guys
purpose,
hear that? We want you to repeat that. That was really good.
yeah,
Can you
if
say it
you really
again?
can conceive an idea, conceive the idea first, that,
Mm,
right? Believe in that idea, and then you will surely achieve that idea. I love
those, my
that phrase
friends,
myself as well.
words of wisdom, because that is the
Yes,
truth right
absolutely.
there.
And never hold back, never hold back. There will always be elements of fear, right? But you know what? Put one foot forward and start. Don't wait till you have a whole lot of money before you think you can go ahead.
Right? A
Start with
friend of mine
one step at a
said,
time.
right, my friend said, expect, like, go for it and expect the fear to show up, nod, like acknowledge it
Yeah,
and then keep going.
yeah,
I love that
absolutely.
because it's like, we sometimes
Absolutely.
expect it should look a certain way, and that's not real.
Yeah.
It's part of it. The fear is
No,
part of it. And it
no,
in itself is a gift, unless and until it paralyzes us, which is a predictable outcome.
absolutely. I'll
Yeah.
tell you what, there's so much uncertainty today. So don't wait for things to be perfect.
Yeah.
A dream that you had 5 years for 5 years to come, start it now. Nothing's
Yeah.
stopping you. You got it. You got it. Just go and get it.
Janet, I feel like this work is so important for young women.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but when I went out into the world, there was all this support, as a teenager, as an adolescent, even as, a child. And then like, it's like, you're 18, good luck. And it's not like my parents did that, but I just noticed that, my daughter, her peer group, and it's like, how are these kids supposed to know what their purpose is? And now with the education system in a crisis, kids not wanting to go to college anymore because they don't see the value, many of them. And even when they do, they're majoring in math because they're good at math. It's like they don't have any idea about their purpose. And I would just
Mm,
wonder
mm.
sometimes what the world would be like if our young women and men understood their purpose at 18 or 19 or even 20.
Yeah, yeah. The truth is that things have gone so different. When we were growing up, we almost knew what we wanted to do. We almost knew what we wanted to become, and we were treading that path. But today, there's a lot of uncertainty. You're seeing some people in certain professions, and right now, it's not where they want to be. It's not what they like to do. They thought it was going to be nice, but it's not nice. And so, therefore, it's easier for our younger ones to start with a passion. What is their passion? And as a parent, if your child comes up with a passion, as much as possible, try and support that passion
Yes,
because
I agree.
they have a talent. That's an inborn talent that
Yes.
they could do with their eyes closed. So start with their passion, identify where their passion lies,
And
and then nurture it.
yeah, and especially if you don't understand it, right? You really have to work. Sometimes I don't understand. I'm what, but because there's so much that is new. But I completely agree with you. We have to
Yes,
support our children. Okay, so I
yes,
know this is all
yes.
about vitality. I've gone off on a tangent. Here we are at the top of the hour, but I really am curious about how you balance your life. How you organize yourself to be able to be a wife. Your kids are grown, but still a mother, and to have your business. So what is it that you do to find balance when life is pulling at you in a number of different directions?
I can tell you a couple of things that I do because life can get really stressful, and I can really get overburdened with work. And by the time I say I'm tired, I know that I'm really tired. But it's a couple
Mm.
of things I love doing. I definitely have boosted my exercise regime. So I'm a member of an exercise club where I live with a beautiful group of ladies, and we really have fun exercising. I try to do it 4 times a week, and I do
Nice.
walking as well. But the
Mm.
exercise with the women is fantastic, aerobics and all of that. And then I have a beautiful passion. I love collecting orchids. I have about 500 orchids in my garden.
Oh
And
my
so
gosh.
when I want to I'm telling you, I've been collecting since 2000. And so every time, and I'm
Oh,
always looking for a new species. And right now they don't grow in any other media but charcoal. And so when I'm looking for some serenity and some calm, I just go into my garden and I just go and admire all this. Oh, the bud is coming out, or the flower
oh
is
my
about to,
gosh.
I give my flowers some TLC, some
Oh my
tender loving
gosh.
care.
I would
Honestly,
love to
you
see a
need to see I
picture.
will send
I
some
really want to
pictures.
see a
I will
picture.
send some beautiful pictures. I
Or even
will.
a little
You'll
video.
be
I'd love
amazed,
to.
like,
Oh my
whoa.
gosh, that sounds
I will.
amazing.
Okay, I'll do a video for you as well. Honestly, and that's where I get my peace because again, it's really like, how do I
Mm,
wind down? Initially, I will work into the wee hours of the morning, but now I've locked on. I said, okay, let me watch some of this Netflix. Let me just get onto a program that I like watching, once in a while when it's really when I've decided now that when I'm really, really busy, I decided put a hard stop at this time, no more
nice.
work, no matter how urgent it is. Put a hard stop to it so I can give myself re-energize. I really need to re-energize my brain. So it needs a
Yes.
rest. It really needs a
Yes.
rest. And I do like to network. I love to network. In spite of COVID right now, we do virtual networking. So I am a member of some other women's groups where I can tap off the knowledge of other women. And I think it's really
Nice.
important.
Nice. I love it. So you're filling your cup in a lot of different ways. And for those of you who can't see it, Janet, she is shining. She is glowing. And there's this golden glow that's just emanating from her. So what she's doing is definitely working. It's really beautiful to witness.
Thanks so much, Jennifer.
Yeah. Any last words of wisdom for our listeners before we end the conversation?
I really do think that this is the time for women. This is really the time for women. This is time to step out of that comfort zone and go out there and aim for the sky. The sky is not even the limit anymore. The clouds are there. So, you can really go out there and get what you want to. A lot of women are high achievers nowadays. And so don't let anything inhibit you from doing what you think you can do. Live your dream life, really. Go out there and tell yourself. I think it's really important to wake up in the morning with affirmation statements. I really suggest that if you can, get out a gratitude journal and write all the things that you're thankful for at the end of the day. If you can't do it every day, do it at least 3 times a week. And you'll be surprised at the things that you've achieved and you'll be more proud of what you can do and more. So a gratitude journal is great. Start off with the day with an affirmation statement and tell yourself that you can do it, because I really believe that every woman can do even more than they expect that they can do.
Mm,
And it's just a matter of taking that
I
action,
love it.
and
Yes.
that's really why coaching is fantastic to help women really achieve greater heights.
Beautiful. Thank you. And if you'd like to have that discovery call with Janet, please reach out to her via email. Her email will be in the show notes. Go to her website to learn more about her. It's her name. Can you speak it out properly for me?
Yes, I can. It's my name, www.janetadetu.com. That's Janet, JanetAdetu.com. And you can also send me an email, janet.adetu@gmail.com. And I'd love to hear from you.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you. It's been wonderful speaking here.